everyone, welcome to another episode of Fulham Chronicles. Hello Melinda.
Hi Zara.
Was that good enough?
Yes, it was good.
Right, today we've got two amazing guests. We start with John, Mr. Jonathan Dunne, which is a consultant plastic surgeon with 15 years of experience. He's a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in plastic surgery, specializing in skin cancer, facial plastic surgery, and head and neck surgery, and also a writer.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Welcome. And also...
Yes, to my left we have the gorgeous Jolanta, and I'm not going to... I have tried to
no,
say
you must.
No,
Melinda, you
I'm
must.
not saying it. You have to say it, because you've got to get it
Zalagaityte, that's my last name.
Yes.
Zalagaityte.
Zalagaityte, yes.
Oh, I can't that was great.
That wasn't too bad.
Here we are, John. Should we change the Dunne? Because I almost called you a Dune.
Yeah, mine's problematic as well.
So Jolanta is basically the CEO and founder of Active Drip Skincare.
Thank you, and thanks for having us here.
So, John, how long have you been in Fulham for, and why Fulham?
So I have been in Fulham just over 10 years. In fact, mainly it's been just round the corner from here. And I moved to Fulham to complete my plastic surgery training. So that was in and around London. And actually it was a friend who found the place that my wife and I subsequently rented. So it was chance. We haven't lived anywhere else but Fulham. And it was to finish my plastic surgery training and then become a consultant, which is...
So where did you come from?
I was working in Leeds before then.
Okay,
so working
again,
in the north.
work.
Yeah.
Great.
And and Jolanta, you're a Fulham resident as well.
Yeah, I've been here since 4 years. From the day I moved to London, that's when I chose Fulham. It took some time to explore and discover London and choose the right place, but the minute I stepped in Fulham, I felt like, reminds me home, some sort of feeling like maybe I'm a bit like back when I was living in Italy. It's very residential. The buildings are low-rise, so we have a community there as well. So like we have group chats on WhatsApp. We can support, promote, sell.
Do you have that on your street, on your new street?
We've got a busy WhatsApp group, yeah.
What did we all do before WhatsApp? Wow.
I think it's COVID, as much as we dislike that, part of our life. I think that's what brought us all together more as a community.
So, Jonathan, I was reading a little bit, obviously, about you doing a bit of research, and the thing that most caught my attention and my eye was the beginning. I don't even know if it is really the beginning, but when you were with a registrar and you're doing your training and you were in Malawi for 6 months.
Yes.
So was that the beginning, or?
That was really midpoint towards the end of my training, and went out there for 6 months. And it was really someone I worked with said, they have plastic surgery here, and it tied in well with my wife's line of work. So we went out there. It was obviously a fascinating place to live, so different, so many challenges, great people out there, just resources are lacking.
Yeah.
But they just have some very well-trained people, and it was a great experience for me as a trainee at that point to learn from them in a very different environment. And I think it motivates you in different ways. I've always liked to keep that balance of the work here, but also there, and I'm still involved with Malawi Burns Trust, which is a group of us from here, and it's really providing some education and helping with resources for those who are working so hard there. And as I say, they do have a great team, and it's fortunate I've been out in 2022, and I think the plan is for later in the year again. So yes, a very enjoyable part of my training, something I hope will keep going as a consultant, and really working with the team they have there.
Yeah, it's fantastic, because it's always that you immediately go down the cliched route if you mention the word.
I know.
And so I thought it was really important to kind of talk about that.
Well, so many of our colleagues in the hospital, I don't think, quite know what we do. We're a mysterious group, really.
Well, you are in the industry, right? So you're on the other side of it, where you give the aftercare, as you very well said it. But as we all know, when you say plastic surgeon, you think about Botox. You think about somebody that's not really happy with their beauty, and they want to add more or take more, So I think this is an amazing opportunity to talk more about, let's talk skincare, but actual skincare. Melinda's going to have a shocker in a second, which I just found out today, but it's good because we actually have somebody in the room that, has had to go to somebody like John for a reason. And also affordable skincare. I think it's so big nowadays with all those brands out there trying to be in places like John's place with good names behind. And nobody said they're not good or they're bad. everybody said, I want to go in, I want to have a treatment and also buy something at the end of this treatment that I can afford.
Well, that's the main sort of, what's the word? The ethos, I guess, behind your brand is that I know reading about it, there were, you felt that there were some frustrations with skincare, but also affordability and accessibility was really important to you.
Yes, I think I always focused on accessibility to everyone, because good skincare doesn't mean expensive skincare. So there's multiple brands today where literally we know, because we work back end that end consumer does not see, which is mean manufacturing process and laboratories, and we see that a name doesn't mean it's good quality. So it started a long time ago when I was 13. So I have psoriasis. That's the first starting point. So it was always a struggle to find a good care, not only on the body, but on the face to cover. So when you're a teenager,
Can you talk us through what does that mean? Because maybe people don't know what psoriasis means.
So psoriasis is autoimmune disease. So I have this one as well on the top. As a teenager, I had like hormonal acne everywhere. So it started like finding multiple different solutions, because some parts would be dry, some parts would be acne. You feel like you lose the confidence. You don't want to look at people's eyes when you go out. So when you're a teenager, especially, you're
self-conscious anyway. Yeah.
So then I think I moved to Japan when I was 19, and I was very interested in observing the Asian routines, because I was having a roommate from Japan, and she was kind of like my mentor when it comes to the wellness and the beauty. So I was really, really carefully observing how and what they use to have this beautiful, flawless porcelain skin. So I think Japan really hooked me up on skincare. But then later on, I joined a company which focuses on whole genome testing. So it's a DNA company. So I worked there for like 3 years. And my actually core in that business was overtaking skincare and supplement side of it. So we would observe some predispositions and markers in genetics, and how can we target those in providing a final end product, which is skincare or supplement, and how we can minimize and provide a less confusing option solution for a customer. So let's say we would target like glycation, pigmentation, irritation, sensitivity, collagen, and etc. So yeah, that was the idea for me. And when I resigned from the company, I thought like, it's the time. It's the time to start something my own. And I met the right people, and we gathered the forces, and I started.
And when did you start? When did you found the business?
I already was having an idea in my head like since 2020. But then I was working in the startup in genetics. And then 2022, I started working on formulas. So I met the first scientific team, and then we start analyzing and putting the formulas together. So then it took a few years to do the stability testing, patch testing, and it took a while to register the formulas, because it's not a white labeling, so we own the whole IP, so everything is
John,
crafted.
what an amazing story to hear here for somebody like you as a doctor, that the generation that comes, it's actually interested in not only delivering quality when it comes to the look of the product, but what's inside of it. So what would you, hearing Gavi's story, I'm calling you Gavi, that's it.
Let's stick with Gavi.
Yeah, so hearing Jolanta's story about what it brought her around skincare and the after skincare treatment, what would you have to say?
I completely agree with Jolanta that a lot of what's out there that's expensive is marketing and branding, and that's for sure. And you're interesting because you've come to your own route and you understand what the issues behind it are. And of course, that's really which ties in with my side of things. When we talk about Malawi, we saw lots of burns. You understand what treatment what burns need, and it's hydration, it's moisture, it's pressure at different times for the scars, and then also the things you're mentioning. Scars do get pigmented; they have these issues, and understanding the science of it and how to address that is the key. And the ingredients you say are the way forward. And a lot of skincare products don't do that, and that's why things have steered towards slightly more medical grade or similar to it, to be able to address these concerns, because in the past many haven't. And I think you're quite right, that's the way you need to approach it, on that genetic or or the symptom level that you have to target specifically, not just say, it's one size fits all. So I completely agree. I think that's exactly the way skincare should be approached, and it has to be more scientific because it often hasn't been.
Yeah. And also it's very confusing. As me as a consumer, I find it very, very confusing, whereas your products are really sort of, to use that old ad phrase, it does what it says on the tin kind of, you can pick it up, look at it. I mean, I'm just terrible, hate to admit it, I'm a Boots, 2 for 3 or whatever it is, whatever the deal is, because I just go, I know them as a company, and everything else I find really confusing. I don't know, should I be using this before, after? So it's just give me those little pots, a night, day, and I'm done. But I think with yours, it's really clear kind of what it's targeting.
I often get asked, why not a cleanser? Why not another? Why not following the trend of CMOS or something else? So like I said, you don't need to follow a new trend, new ingredient. It's just the basics: hydration, nourishment, and making sure that you protect as well the skin. So each formula, because I have psoriasis, I want to make sure that people with psoriasis or say dermatitis can use even retinol and vitamin C. So each formula is balanced, very well balanced, and it's very safe. And for those with troublesome skin. So we don't exclude them, but we include in the normal regime like everyone else could have.
And also because I think as well with skincare, because I've personally had a bout of skin cancer, is that, which I know, John, you sort of address those issues when they come up with people, with your patients, but I always am worried about, if I'm using this, does that mean my skin is not protected when I'm out in the sun?
I think
SPFs,
that's what the problem is.
That's what I always really worry about, because I don't want to go through kind of what I went through with Mohs, which I know is what a procedure that you do, which does sound really simple in itself, but it's actually quite... It can be at times quite brutal, I think, depending on the nature of what you're treating.
Absolutely. This is a way to completely remove a skin cancer. And yes, sometimes they are larger than you can see on the surface. And a lot of tying in with skin cancer, of course, there's the treatment, which is mainly surgery. But of course, it's prevention and how that ties in, because stopping UV exposure, different forms of ultraviolet light as well in particular, and other light forms is the key, really. And of course, 10, 20 years ago in this country, I don't think people were particularly on it. Australia have been better with a more advanced processes in place, really, and public health warnings. But we are lagging behind, and it's all cumulative. And I think you're right that knowing what we can use in SPF and that sort of thing is key to preventing problems, but knowing what's in them is the key, and that's what you've explained.
I think exactly. I think this is so important, and the reason why you're both here today, I think it's great to have the expert that has studied so much. I'm not saying you're not an expert, but you're an expert what you're doing, whereas he's got a vast knowledge of everything and anything. So it comes to my next question: is it can it be, is it food related when it comes to skin? Is it lifestyle related? Is it, how would I know as a consumer, as Melinda has, had her struggles, right, John will approve me to take Active Drip. John will approve me to take XYZ other brands that are out there, because this is the scary part, right? You go to Boots or you go to anywhere and they're all of them, and you're like, well, John said retinol, they all have it. John said hyaluronic acid, SPF, or which don't say brands, but if some, like a consumer will come to you lost and would just say, in order for you to have a nice skincare and not having any issues, at least follow these steps. I
think it's made extremely complicated. You get a lot of people sort of saying, this is my skincare routine, and there could be anything from 3 to 6 to 12 steps, and that's just too much for many.
How many steps have you got?
Well, exactly. And I think
too less.
I think you have to simplify it, really, and Jolanta will be able to comment on this for sure with your experience. But I think preventing sun damage is SPF. Then it's really cleansing the skin, so my cleanser, and then you'll really think of vitamin C, which is the nourishing part. Others options available. Jolanta might expand. And a moisturizer, which is a very all-encompassing, of which there are different types. But I think preventing with SPF, and then a moisturizer. And there's a couple of tweaks to that with where you can go, such as vitamin C. Because it's really one of the cellular elements that we know nourishes the skin. There are different ones as well. We can talk about retinols, but if you're looking simply, it's nourishing, it's moisturizing, and it's prevention, which is the SPF. And you might want to expand.
And then we have other options for those who don't like vitamin C. Not everyone supports it. But also
who
vitamin
doesn't
C.
support it?
Yeah,
So
why?
Why?
So that's one good thing about Active Drip, that even those who does not support or get irritations, because vitamin C can dry the skin.
Okay.
What is that? It's citric, isn't it?
it's citric.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
about. Why about drinking some oranges, guys? Why using vitamin C on our
That's
skin?
why, for example, in our vitamin C, we add other like avocado oil, to make sure that it doesn't irritate, though yet not dries. And also
Balance.
vitamin C, it acts as a very good antioxidant and helps from the sun, from photoaging, as again, like support.
Tell us, why did you choose to become a plastic surgeon? Does it run in your family? And do you, because you're quite of a younger generation, right? Would you like to break that stigmata that plastic surgeons are just for that? Or you think that actually it is all around that?
So, I mean, from the first part, I don't know. No family members are plastic surgeons. I knew I wanted to be a doctor, and then it was really finding your area, and plastic surgery is niche. It seems like there are lots in the country from our publicity and the amount of profile there is for plastic surgery, but actually there aren't that many. So it was all about finding something. I knew surgery was probably where I was going, but actually it's quite different in many ways. It's a bit more creative. If you're doing a reconstruction, it's not just follow this recipe.
You want to talk us through what Montrose is? And
I will. I will. And so that was why I sort of steered towards plastic surgery, because it was a bit more creative. There were more elements to it. And of course, that blends relatively seamlessly with the more aesthetic side, which might be skin, which is the building block of that sort of thing, really. And so from that, myself and two colleagues, we were aware of having worked in other clinics. This is more the aesthetic side, also the skin cancer side, and thought, well, actually we would aim to set up something with the expertise of plastic surgeons and dermatologists. So it was not, you have to go to this clinic for one thing, you have to go there for your skin cancer, you have to go there for another opinion, but it was all under one roof, and that we could actually make it a place which we thought design-wise was different and what we hoped would be better than other places. So we've set up a clinic called Montrose, London, which is just off Sloane Square, so near to here. And that was our emphasis, really, to be a nice place to go to that offered expertise under one roof. And that's really sort of my journey of wanting to do something that was creative. It was also making a difference to people, and it does just merge from the reconstructive to the more aesthetic side.
People are more and more educated, especially in London. They're very picky. They really care where they spend the money, and they don't throw their money back and forth. So because in Spain we have different model and it's retail, it's easy. So I thought I want to explore more the B2B, talk with consumers. So yeah, we had a couple of pop-ups. I'm just testing, because one day eventually the dream is to open a small flagship store.
Which would be fantastic. But I guess also it's just different in Europe, isn't it? People are used to going into a pharmacy for their products and their skincare, whereas we are, but it'd be more of a Boots or and then yes, of course you've got the other places like Space and K or whatever. It's coming, but it's just more of a natural thing, I think, in the
but it's coming back.
Yeah.
And the market is so overcrowded, and you get millions of agencies contacting you, can we do the marketing, sponsor that, but it doesn't work anymore. The consumer is getting back to the retail, whether it's
in many ways.
After COVID, everyone was like, during the COVID, booming, buying, purchasing online, but it's changing.
Yes.
People don't believe anymore, don't trust, so they want to feel, they want to test.
They want to come and talk to you and hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah,
it's your product.
That's what I've asked you, John. If you have faced more and more people saying, what should I buy? Or if it was something that from, when you go to your GP and say, oh, you have a sore, a sore throat. And what would I take? Would you do exactly the same consultation on the client and just say, look, I think your skin needs X, Y, Z? Because I think it's so difficult for you to actually guide them through a brand.
Yeah.
Rather than, because you must work with that brand, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you stay focused on the essence, as in you must
for sure. Yes. I mean, we have, in terms of the end product, of many different brands, and we're not tied to any, but financially we do it, it's a bit like a medical assessment, really, that you talk through their skin history, treatments they've had. We often use a machine called a Visier, which you have pictures taken, and it can take details of the sort of deeper layers just beyond the skin surface. So it gives you a clue about sort of redness and rosacea, pollution, the skin surface and the barrier. So that gives your subjective sort of history with your assessment, which is objective, and then this other additional piece of technology, and that's how we guide it. And as I say, it's very much about what do you need and what's the best for that. And we're not tied to any particular brands, and it's often the more medical ones that actually are really targeting specific things, and that's how we guide.
It's good for the people that are listening to us and hearing to this to know that you can trust a place like Montrose to go and have a proper assessment of your skin and find out more, as we grow older. I don't know why I'm looking at you.
Thanks.
But as we the skin changes.
Well, it's also what I think you said before, Jonathan, it's not a one size fits all necessarily.
No, it's not.
So.
And I think that's the thing, navigating what's best and it being an independent assessment, and therefore what you decide to give, it has to be that, because there are many different options. You have many options for your own brand, and you have to work out what's best for the individual, because it really doesn't work a one size fits all.
Yeah.
I think lifestyle is same as important as genetics. So unfortunately we cannot choose our DNA makeup.
Yeah.
But what we could do is like work the same equally our lifestyles. So it's like a work. Unfortunately, if you have trouble with your skin like I do, there's nothing you can change. But
you wouldn't say that.
it's a work.
It's so beautiful.
It's the active dream.
No, it's a hard work. Meaning, there is everyday SPF, there's everyday good product. It's a work. It's like gym, or anything else. So I don't know.
Well, that's a very, I don't want to make them any publicity, but for me it was so big to have discovered Gym Face, and it is like going to the gym, and it's all to do with your lifestyle and what you're doing, and what comes out of it, obviously.
Unless you're lucky with your genes that you don't.
Exactly.
I know someone.
Yeah. Who are very, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
With the genetic
I've always
mix.
been so jealous on Asians. I always said, it feels like they're forever young. They come young and they go young. There's no in between.
But they work a lot on that. I thought so as well, but when I start living both male and females,
really?
They have a very
interesting
strict routine. Guys, the same, the males are as females.
And so the question I was going to ask you, the thing I really love about your product, I've tried a little bit, and I love the eye. Is it the eye peptide? The
eye contour cream.
It's really good, because having slightly sort of mixed genes myself, it's like I do tend to get that darker, but you do get the darker eye colouring that happens, and it's really good. I have to say, I love it. But the affordability was really important to you, which I think is fantastic. Do you want to sort of pick out a little bit about what the price points are?
Yeah, sure. So we're
and
not.
Why?
Yeah.
Why did you want it to make it affordable for people?
Yeah. So because we are not an influencer brand, and we are not a celebrity brand, and that's not where we're going. We want to capture more bigger range, and as mentioned, I think now everyone is more educated about skincare, and everyone wants to see the behind the packaging, the formulas. I don't want to name the brand names on this podcast, but
well, there are many out there.
Yeah, many out there, and I just can say one thing, that they all fall in the same category of pricing. Let's say I just random numbers from 2 to 8 whatsoever, doesn't matter. I don't name here in this podcast the names of the brands. They all come in the same category. So I felt like there is no need to let's say rip off the end consumer and be transparent. And the idea is that you have consistency and loyal customer than someone who can afford one time, or someone who gives them as a gift, as a Christmas gift, and then
somebody can someone can carry on using it.
Someone can carry on something. So that's the idea. And the price range is, the serums are £26-28 retail price. The moisturizer is 32-33.
I've never seen. Have you seen the moisturizer? We don't have it here with us today, do we?
It here, yeah.
Oh, do you?
I don't know if you saw, John. That's a thing I've it's not like is Jolanta today here, but when I firstly saw that, I overly do it. I don't know if you do as well, and I've got nails,
and so it goes
they
in,
go under the nails, and it feels like it's product, and it's something that.
So is this a controlled dose of it almost?
The reason why, because I feel like you want to avoid contamination in the product. The minute you open, beside it oxidizes, but it.
Or your children do.
Yeah.
I always, no, but with the cream is the same. I always give this as well example. It's like eating a spoon of jam or yogurt and then putting the same spoon back in the fridge with the yogurt. That's it. The product is contaminated. So I think the same with skincare.
But also what I would do as well is I sort of, even thinking of Boots prices, I would sort of say, okay, well, let's see if I buy this, how long is it going to last me? And I sort of made a mental note of it, and then I break it down. I go, actually, do you know what? It's only going to be X amount per day. That's totally doable. And I think with your price point, that is doable if you break it down. I mean, how long would you say a moisturizer, for example, last for?
I think for me, every brand, like if it's...
No, if you're obsessed like me.
I use a lot. So like 1 month, 3 weeks.
Yeah, so it's
something like that.
It's about a month, isn't it?
Would you recommend, John, people to have their morning routine, evening routine? Is there such a thing as in 3 times a day routine? What would you, as an expert?
I think most people would say morning and evening. I mean, it depends if you've got specific concerns, but it's really, you don't need to be too prescriptive. I think it's just sort of working out what's best for an individual, and that does vary by person. I think
we come to a person like you to find that out?
I don't think you have to. I think people who come are typically people who have specific concerns that might be suitable for skincare only. It might need prescription skincare sometimes, or it might be something which requires more, and things I do quite a lot of, laser, for instance. It depends what the needs are and what I would feel is best suited to that. So there are a range of options, but I think I probably see people more with a specific concern rather than necessarily day to day.
Yeah. And then going back to affordability, so I'm going to throw that one your way. Do you think that these treatments, and I'm not taking away from anything, all the amazing, incredible work that you also do, which balances off the two scales of the demographics and price points, but do you think that because there's new technology, new advancements, new treatments coming in all the time, do you think that just constantly the price keeps the same and it cuts a lot of people out and be able to afford those sort of treatments?
It can do. I think the key is to know what the active ingredients are and what's working, and then as you were alluding to, is sort of what's marketing, branding, and being paid to people who are promoting the product, because what everyone wants to know is, well, what's the value in it really? And I think that's why there are different price points, but trying to work out what we would usually prescribe or is what we'd say medical grade, and that's really not because it's truly prescription, it's just because it has the active ingredients, and that's what Jolanta's been trying to achieve. Yes, exactly.
But if it was something like so if we're not talking, because I know you do skin tags and there's moles and removals and things like that for people, but if we were talking about, say, lasers where people needed it because I don't know, skin resurfacing or I don't know, I guess the price point of that is sort of £300 or thereabouts, or I don't know what your price list is, but that's what I mean in terms of advancements. Do you think it's ever going to get to the stage where it is going to be affordable to more people? Or
I think the thing that has happened is the non-surgical treatments, if we talk about lasers, a good example, have become far more effective and almost pushing towards sort of downtime and effects you might see with surgery. So they just become more expensive,
right?
Because the machines themselves are extremely expensive. Yeah. But you do have lasers which are far less expensive, and they can treat some mild sort of skin regeneration. They can treat redness and rosacea and similar things. So there is a spectrum. I think the problem is that technology tends to be expensive. It's a bit like when a new iPhone comes out. Unfortunately, it's expensive, and part of that's branding and marketing, and part of it's because it works well.
That's true.
So I think there is a range. It's certainly not inexpensive, but I think it's similar with trying to look for, we talk about skincare, active ingredients and what works really, and trying to tease out which ones people think are effective.
That's great. And so what do you think is next? What's the next big thing, do you think, in skincare? Have to be Jolanta first. What's the next thing that you're going to do? Are you adding to the range? Is there something else out there that you're looking at that's really interesting, that's new?
Yeah. So I since the beginning of launch of the whole range of products, my dream was that our scientific team creates a good SPF. I have my favorite that I use, but unfortunately it's in Japan. And I've been using it for like 8 years, and I cannot find anything similar in the market.
Is it something that has to do with snail or one of those big things that it's very...
That's trend.
Yeah, that's trendy.
It's just the strength of it. Like you apply once in a day and that's it. And it works. It's just amazing, nice silky texture. And it's... So we're trying to find the ways how... Like, so SPF would be my thing.
That would be your thing.
Well, I think what's new is Montrose. He just opened it up.
Yeah,
Yes.
when did
So
Montrose
Montrose opened in September. So it's myself
so
and two colleagues who are plastic surgeons, and we have dermatologists, estheticians who do a lot of the skin assessments.
I've seen the the indoor of
Yes.
It's like
It looks beautiful.
Yeah,
so
it's wonderful.
A big undertaking. So yes, we're pleased definitely with the design, how it looks, and
it does
hope
look
it's
stunning.
achieved our aims. And probably in terms of ties in well with what next. I think genetics, and Jolanta, you said about that, because certainly within medicine, more personalised treatments and understanding medical conditions from that. But I think particularly in skincare, we do genetic tests for hair loss, and you can also do it for skin assessments. And it's
Wait a minute, explain that. So
you take a swab
Okay.
from a person's mouth, and it can tell you genetic elements and guide treatment, particularly around hair loss, but also skin. And it's in its early stages, but it can potentially guide treatments in terms of not what you just see and can assess, but how that individual would react and what would be suitable for them. And this is early stages, but it's very much personalized medicine and skincare, and that is where it will go. I think it'll
it's
be
definitely
really
it will go
big
that
area.
It's great you both have mentioned that. So now we are doing something very interesting when it comes to our podcast, and that's on the spot question. And you two are not exception. So do you want to start, or do you want to?
I'm going to pass to you. Yeah.
Right, John. I would ask you. Should I say Jonathan? I feel like I'm telling you off, and I'm your mother. Jonathan. If you wouldn't have taken this beautiful path that obviously, as we can all hear today and see today, is passion, is pure passion. Have you got any hobbies? Is it anything else? Would you have been a writer, a painter, a cricketer? I don't know, anything. Anything you're passionate more than skincare? If you say nothing, you're going home.
I would have liked to have done languages. I'd have done language. Where that would have taken me, I don't know. So it could have been any of the above.
Anywhere.
Do languages, and I'm interested in the language itself and other cultures. But that's what I would have studied instead of medicine.
Oh, that's great. Here we are. You were just around the corner from medicine school. Just got into the wrong door. What about you, my love? If you wouldn't have, been into skincare, and the genetics company that you worked for, wouldn't have, worked out, and you'll be like, this is just not for me. Where do you think at this point of your life you would have been?
So I guess there's one practical option, and another was more like maybe unrealistic at this stage in my life. So if I have ability to turn back time, maybe space science, something I'm very interested in. Anything that's outside of our planet. And if realistically, consultancy maybe on...
You should speak about Gordon Blue. I know you probably have seen... She's a fantastic cook, guys.
Yeah. I was a chef before, like for some time. I was trained as a chef, but it never took on a professional level. I never thought I'm going to enjoy being just in the kitchen. I thought it's a bit limiting because I like to talk. I'm very talkative. So unfortunately in the kitchen you're locked.
Well,
10 hours.
You're a different type of chef now. You are. You're cooking for the skin.
Yeah, cooking.
Yeah, if that's a thing. Oh, here we are.
And Don, what's your favourite Fulham spot or thing to do in SW6?
10 years, you should know. On the spot.
Favourite Fulham spot is Bishop's Park, I would say. We seem to spend our life there with the children, so I would say Bishop's Park. It's beautiful and keeps them very happy.
Yeah, with 3 children, you need to be near a park. How about you, Lo?
I think I would agree, same. And the riverside. It's a very lovely place to walk and just forget everything.
Yes.
Yeah, so Fulham is very green compared to the rest of London.
I love the Riverton. I love how now it's also becoming properly connected.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to both of you.
Yes,
that
thank
come
you for
today.
coming in.
Thank you for
it was
inviting
really
me.
lovely to
It was,
talk.
and it was great for people to find out more about, plastic surgeons and more about skincare.
Thank you, and we're going to wrap things up now. So we finish another episode. We're getting quite a few under our belts now, and thank you to our sponsor Archie Pango, and also this beautiful studio, Voxpod Studio, here in the heart of Fulham. So
We are
thank you
very
both
lucky.
very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.